So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are an entrepreneur or a high achiever and you're ready to break through your plateau and really achieve the results that you desire, tap into your purpose, tap into your vision for your life, what you're really meant to accomplish in this lifetime, the mission, the strategy, objectives, the dream lifestyle, the motivations, the values, get that all lined up and put on paper so it's clear, so you know who you are, then the 21-day challenge will help you with exactly that. Over the course of 21 days, we'll do that. We'll dial in your daily and nighttime routines so you can be prepared for the maximum success and productivity that you can ask for. And over 21 days, you'll hit your 21-day goal and challenge goal so that you can succeed like never before. So I work one-on-one with you. It's a very intimate VIP premium experience to help you really grow. So if you're interested and committed in that, send me a message, chris@beyourgps.com, and I look forward to helping you with your 21-day challenge and get clear on your purpose and really succeed like never before. Thank you so much in advance. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and that's inspired by Obsidian. Obsidian says, "Soul fire. Whenever I have the opportunity to connect with Chris, he leaves me feeling inspired, refreshed, and determined. People like Chris are examples of what becoming your greatest possible self looks like. A gift to this world, a walking, talking, and thriving legacy." Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Obsidian. I appreciate you. And if you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes, and you can do that there. Or you can search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on iTunes or on Facebook and leave us a review like that. Thank you so much in advance for doing that. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the feedback, how we can grow, how we can improve, which guests you really, really love, and how we can keep making this even better. Thank you in advance. Now, for the man of the hour, Tommy's going to be coming on here in a bit. And again, make sure you stay tuned to the end because I have a feeling this is going to be super, super cool. I mentioned with him before, we were talking about phoenixes, and he wrote some lyrics about rising from the ashes and phoenixes, and I posted a post about it. It was like super synchronous, and it was awesome. So I know that we're going to have a lot of fun. There's some great energy here and so much possibility and potential that can be created here. So I'm stoked. Stay tuned to the end because there's going to be so much gold, so much fun, and value. Tommy McCollister, a.k.a. Real Presence, is a music producer and rap artist, but mainly prides himself in being a husband, father, son, and friend. His life has taken him from a shy kid and a young adult drug addict to now breaking down the barriers of fear through faith, hope, and love. And we are absolutely blessed to have Tommy with us here today. Tommy, you ready to rock it, brother?
Yeah, let's do it, brother.
Let's do it. You're now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, man. Thank you so much for coming on today to share your wisdom and experience with our audience, both on Facebook and the podcast and YouTube and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. I'm stoked.
Absolutely.
I'm stoked that you mentioned about the Phoenix thing. That was a cool little story.
Dude, let's share about it. Just real quick.
Into it. Yeah, it was a trip. So me and you were just talking a couple weeks ago, just having a little phone conversation, had a great conversation. And then you were telling me how you and your girlfriend have these moments where you see numbers that are the same and you feel like you're in alignment of life and whatnot. I was like, yeah, that's similar to me. I'm on a lot of those type of things myself. Didn't think much of it. And then that night, I was just sitting on the couch getting ready to go to bed. And sometimes I'll get a quick moment of inspiration. And I started writing some rhymes. And it was crazy because the first thing I said was something like, "I rose from the ashes, still on flames." Yeah. And then I continued on with my rhymes. But that was like the opening line. And I wrote for a little bit, and then I was like, all right, I better go to bed. It's late. And so I flipped on Instagram real quick, checked my messages, and your post was one of the first things that pops up. And I see something about the Phoenix. I don't know too much about the Phoenix. And then so I started reading what you wrote. But one of your first lines was like, are you ready to rise from the ashes?
Yes.
I just wrote this rhyme a few minutes ago. And then I turn on yours, and then you're saying like the same thing. And then after we just talked about life being in alignment and stuff, and I was like, this is the trip.
Dude, that was so awesome. And that first conversation we had, so freaking powerful, man. Love learning about you and just getting connected with you. You're a great human being, man. I'm super grateful to have you on the show and to dive into, these principles, the way that you live life, the way that you show others around you how to live life by being a leader, by being a father, by being a great husband, by being a faithful servant of God, all of it, man. You're just totally showing up as a powerhouse. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm just trying to do my best, and I just catch vibes off other people. So after we had our talk, I was telling my wife that night, I was like, dude, this guy is like, oh, so positive. Everything he sends me is like so much energy. And so like I'd go out in public this past week and I'd see people. I'm like, I'm gonna steal something from Chris this week when somebody's at the do and be like, I'm so blessed. This day's so good. And I was just stealing something from you. So yeah, it's cool, dude. Appreciate
Thank you, man. Thank you. So we're gonna dive right into presence, and dude, this theme that we've been doing all day long today, inspired by Real Presence music and everything that you're all about, man. So from the man himself who inspired this theme, what does presence mean to you, and what impact has it had on your life?
Well, I mean, there's so many things I could talk about presence. So I'll just give my name a look real quick. Real Presence. It originally started out because, first and foremost, I'm a Catholic Christian, and real presence, we believe in the body and the blood is the real presence of God. So I kind of use that. But in the hip hop world, we kind of flip it as like, oh, I'm the real presence on the microphone and yada, yada. So you could look at it from multiple ways. So it kind of has the hidden innuendo of the religion behind it.
Yeah.
But when I think of presence, you know, there's being present in the moment, and then there's being your presence in the world. I guess the presence in the world, I always tell my kids that, you know, what we put out there vibrates out there, because my kids are 11 and 8 and they're always constantly fighting or yelling or whining, and God bless them. I love them. Don't get me wrong. Wouldn't change it. But, and I'm always telling them, like, you guys aren't making my day any easier. You're not making it easier for your mom. And I go, that vibrates in the world. I'm like, now mom maybe go to sleep a little bit more tired tonight because she's had to deal with you guys whining all night. Then she doesn't sleep as good. She gets up in the morning, and maybe at work she's not as good to her coworkers. Then her coworkers go home a little more grumpier, and they're not nice to their kids, and then so on and so forth. And now just because you guys were whining right now, you just affected so many lives out there that you don't see. Wow. And I say it can go both ways though, guys. I said you can be good, and then mommy's going to go to work tomorrow and give smiles to everybody she meets. And then that person might lift their day, and then they're going to give smiles. So it goes both ways. So, you know, your presence really matters, and how, like I was saying, how you're just so energy. And I was doing that this week. It's just cool because it just vibrates out there so much differently. And then I can also look at it as being present in the moment. That's something that I don't want to say I slack on. I'm just not good at it anymore, man. When I was young, I was in the present. That's all I lived for, was right now. I didn't care what tomorrow looked like. It was all about right now. And my brother, when I got married, he gave a whole speech. He was the best man, about how he idolized that about me, how I just was just present in the moment. But that was 12 years ago that I got married. And then over the years, I've become more and more of an entrepreneur, and, you know, music and all this other stuff. I haven't been able to be present in the moment as much, where I'm always looking, what's the next big thing? I got to get the next song done. I got to get this release date. I'm always looking to the future, and I'm not just sitting there enjoying the cool things of life that are going on. My wife, God bless her, but she's always like, we're in the grocery store and you're always on your phone and like doing different things. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I started realizing I wasn't present with her, and we're just grocery shopping, but that's cool being present there and just having cool conversations about what we're making, or if we see somebody else in the aisle and comment on what they're buying or whatever, like that's being present, you know? And I know I struggle with this. I listened to a podcast the other day, the Joe Rogan podcast. I mean, that's obviously, everybody loves that one. He had a rapper on there, so I listened to it. It was Vinny Paz, and he was talking about that. I can never live in the moment. I'm never present. No matter what I'm doing, I'm never present. I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. I know that's my struggle. Is living present in the moment is so hard. I mean, I don't know about you, dude, but because you're an entrepreneur, I'm sure you get after it. But
dude, like it for me, I'm grateful because I'm a coach, so I have to embody this. You know, like greatest possible self is all about mindfulness, is all about presence, and the podcast, the influence, like to be able to impact people's lives. I'm always like, dude, how can I improve this? How can I make a bigger impact, make a bigger difference, and help more people, serve more people? That's always on my mind. And I think one thing I've been really blessed with is my ease and flow through life. Like, yeah, I got this fiery nature that like can ignite and spark and be an inferno in any minute. And on the other hand, I also have this like flowing water-like energy with me whenever I want to tap into it, and I'm super grateful for it. And one of the other things I know about you is you do like racing for BMX, right? You do race like I don't know if you used to or if you still do it, but I saw that and recognized you were doing that. And also the music. I feel like with both of those are kind of like a flow state activities and flow state, like you really have to be in flow and be present and in the moment to be able to be successful with them, or highly successful, highly effective, whatever that means to you. So I'm curious, with those two things, do you feel like you're present in the moment when you're doing those things?
I mean, yes, it's with like the BMX. Now that I've been going so much harder in music these last year or two, I've cut back on the BMX. But BMX was similar because it was a lot of training, hard work every day for an event that was 3 months away. So you were constantly still looking forward, okay, today was a good day or whatever. I had good training and I was getting my gains or whatever, but you were still constantly looking forward to this event. And that's one thing I didn't like about it, because I was always looking forward rather than just like, I'm just enjoying riding my bike, which is the point for that, especially with BMX. I mean, there's no money involved in it. It's just all for the fun of it. So it is hard. But yeah, with music, when I write, I mean, especially now with the beat making, like I just get lost for hours.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I am present in that moment because I can just sit there. If I didn't have kids and a wife, I would sit there all day.
Well, dude, what I would recommend for you, if you want even more presence, is when you are in that flow state while you're creating the music, like there's a certain energy that you're in, producing the beats and stuff. There's certain energy that you're in. And really have a discipline of pausing yourself and being like, holy moly, like I am so present right now, and just like stop it for a second and just marvel at what you're creating, at what you're birthing into the world, because it's like it's a freaking masterpiece, and it's practically like magic. It's an artist. You're an artist, like bringing to life something in those moments. So it's like just train yourself to pause and appreciate that moment, because that's what it really is. It's taking yourself, like taking a pause when you're walking through the grocery store. It's like, okay, I could be looking at my phone, and I'm going to pause on this text message or whatever I'm doing on my phone, just like look up and be in wonder that I'm at this beautiful grocery store. I have plenty of money to buy these foods. I'm with the woman of my dreams. I'm so fulfilled and so happy, like just taking that pause is so powerful, and you can just practice doing it a little bit more.
I definitely can, because sometimes with the music, with artists, we're so our worst critique. We're so critique our work so much. That we can always be better. You show it to somebody else, and they're like, "Oh, that's great," and you're like, "I hear this flaw. I could have done that better," But I do have moments, and it's usually late at night once, and my wife's gone to bed or something. Every now and then I'll throw the headphones on and put on a song I hadn't heard in a month or something. Like, it'll blow my mind that like, wow, I did that, like me, and I'll appreciate that. But you're right. I need to do that not every couple of weeks. I need to do that often and appreciate, because I'm not egotistical. I'm not, and most people aren't. That's just a front. But I'm definitely not one of those guys who's going to. That's one thing I hate about rap. You got to pump yourself up like this. Your song's so awesome, and I hate talking about like that, because I just want people to appreciate it. But I don't want you to tell you that it's the greatest thing on earth. So.
Yeah, I totally get it, man. So, Tommy, this is a fun direction that we're already going, and I want to dive back into the journey a little bit more to find out, how did you come across, rapping? How did you come across making beats? Who you are today and how you know yourself today. Let's go back in the journey, and what were some of those defining moments where you really got the wisdom, you got the perspective, and you grew into your greatest possible self because of those moments.
Well, basically, I started doing music when I was probably like 21, 20 years old. But I've always, it's from a teenager, like I wasn't into the team sports. I rode BMX as a teenager. I could always tell like I wasn't going the direction of college, the white picket fence and house. That wasn't for me. And that was hard because I came from a family. My dad's super blue collar, wanted you to work 75 hours a week and, do this and do that, and that's still a struggle, being that his son's a rapper, but it was tough. So I could always see going down that road. It just happened to kind of fall in my lap. I've always loved hip hop music. It was always my go-to when I was sad or I was happy. I'd always be listening to it. And my friends, I was living out of town at the moment, and they started making, this is back before anybody could just make music. Now it's pretty easy to make music, but back in the day, you had to really figure it out. And not, so if you were making music, you're like, whoa, you make music. I started making it, and I was like, yo, I want to start making. They were my best friends, so I started making it with them. And anyways, we linked up with another group around here that was having good success, and we started, I'm 37 now, so this is back when I was 21. We started opening up for shows for big artists at that time. Was like Bone Thugs and Harmony, E40, he's still around now, but we were starting to do shows with like big artists and go on little small tours, and we had a CD out, and we were doing good stuff, but we were young. And like you said in the intro, I became a drug addict. I went down the prescription pill lane. That was like when prescription pills was like first coming out. Now it's like the worst epidemic ever.
Right.
But that was like in the beginnings of it. And so that kind of split our group, because we would have success, do amazing shows, and then we would celebrate that for months, instead of when's the next show, or be working on another new song or something. So I became a drug addict, unfortunately, but I was probably a functioning drug addict. I was still able to hold down a job and not lose my house and all this other things. And that's when I found my faith in God, because I had tried to quit for 2 years and I could just never do it. I quit for a week, go back to it, quit for 2 weeks, go back to it. And I found God, man. And that was like a light switch, because I was able to literally just quit and never think about it again. And that was a trip. And so our group split. All this amazing stuff happened to me. Me and my wife, at the time we were split up, we weren't married, but we had been dating. We had split up at the time because of my faults, and we got back together. My life was just blossoming. We got a house and da-da-da-da. So I kind of turned away from music for a while, but then I would always bounce back and forth to it. I had a studio, so I would always go and do a song or two here and there, and then I would go away from it. Then I'd go do it again, but then we had kids, so I had to pay for mortgage, a wife and kids. And so music was different then. Like, you had to be on the road at all times really to be gaining those fans. It was social media wasn't really around. MySpace back in the day, and that was just starting to pop off. So you had to be out there, and I was like, that's not going to be the road for me. I'm going to be a present dad. And going back to the presents, and I was just going to be there for my wife and kids. I don't want to be away from them. So I just did it for fun for a while. Fast forward about 5 years ago, I had been working for a casino for 11 years. I was making a pretty good living. I wasn't getting rich by any means, but I was definitely making a decent living. And some things were changing there. And my income, I basically worked for tips. So I made minimum wage, but then I made roughly $40K a year just on tips alone. They were going to eliminate the tip position. So now I was invested 11 years in this company to make minimum wage. And I was like, there's no way I'm staying. Right. It was crazy, because I had a friend who I used to throw shows, and I would rap at his shows, reached out to me like a week before and was like, yo, man, I really know you're into your faith and all that. And I'm struggling as a DJ, not having any centeredness. And I'm wanting to kind of just maybe pick your brain on some things, or just maybe you can help me guide me down that path. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Well, then that happened with my job. And he was like, dude, this is your time, man. He's like, I believe in you as an artist. He's like, I've been wanting to manage people, be a manager for artists. And he already has a successful business. So he had proven to me that he can make things work. Yeah. And so I was like, this might be my time. So I quit my job. My wife, God bless her, she was on board. She was like, if this is what you want, man, I'm going to support you. Wow. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Well, I'm pretty conservative. So that first year was rough for me, going from not really making music and all the buzz I had built up when I was young, pretty much gone, starting over again. Well, my mortgage still needed to be paid. I still had to put, my kids were really young at the time. I still had to, provide for them. And that was rough on me. Every night I would sit on the couch and just be like, is this going to work? I don't think this is going to work. How am I going to make money? And my bank account was going down fast. And I threw in the towel. I did. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Being that I've always thought outside the box, I made some other investments that allowed me to get my money back up. Well, I still had lost the passion for music, because it had left a sour taste in my mouth, because I wasn't able to provide. And so now I had money and time on my hands, and I was miserable. But I would have had everything I always said I always wanted: time on my hands to do whatever I want, and a steady flow of income. And I had both those. And I was the most unhappiest I've ever been in my life. And I was like, I don't understand. I've got what everybody wants in life: money and time. And I'm miserable, absolutely miserable. I have a beautiful family. What's going on? Well, so I came up with this idea. I'm always creative, trying to come up with ideas. I'm like, I'm going to do something new every single day for 1 year. I'm going to call it 365 to Thrive. And I'm going to do something new. So one day I'm going to go jump in the ocean, which I live next to the ocean. I've only been in it one time because where I live, it's freezing. I'm going to the ocean one day. I'm going to go hike in the woods the next day. I'm going to do yoga the next day. I'm going to make a song, and I haven't done songs in 2 years. I'm going to do a song one day. Well, so music was just going to be one day on the thing. Well, I did it early on in that process. I was like, this is kind of fun. I forgot. I started doing it, and I kept doing the other things. And then I was like, man, I kept going back to music. And so after like 85 days of this thing where I said I was going to do it for a year, I was like, I found what I'm supposed to do, man. And I'm like, so I went and I just started diving into music again. And I started making songs, really honing in my craft. And once I got that in, I was like, I got to really start getting it out there. And I'm trying to get everything perfect when I just need to start getting it out there to people. And so I started doing that a little bit. But at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm going to start releasing a song every 2 weeks for this year and just until something happens. And so I just started doing it, and I had a lot to learn. I had no idea about anything, social media, anything. I just was a rapper. That's all I wanted to do was make music. And I had 250 followers on Instagram at that time. Wow. And now, 10 months later, I'm at 7,000 followers. Dude. By just saying yes to, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go for my goals, and I'm going to learn. Especially with YouTube and everything out there, you can learn the processes of how to do things. Everybody's conquered it in some ways, and they'll teach you. Yep. I just started diving in, learning something new every single day. And boom, things started picking up. I started getting my songs on Spotify and all these other places. I started getting streams. My followers were going up, getting direct messages, things like this. We linked up through Instagram. Yep. So just things started falling into place because I put in that work and that effort, and just getting out there and getting out of my comfort zone. And then it led me back to music. But it's a trip because I was talking to you the other day and I was like, yeah, but I'm still kind of in this weird spot with music where I feel like I'm on the right path driving my car, but I feel like I'm kind of rubbing the curb the whole time while I'm driving, And it's a trip because I never made beats all of these years. I dabbled with it for like a few days here and there, but I was like, that's a whole nother animal on there. I don't got time for that. And I always just bought my beats. Well, like a month ago, I had this, my buddy let me borrow his keyboard because I kept saying, oh, I'm going to start learning. Well, was sitting here and I finally, this local rapper who's a lot younger than me hit me up through a mutual friend and was like, you want to get together? And I was like, oh, you're pretty young. You're a lot younger than me, but we're starting to do the same thing. I don't know what we're going to really vibe on because things you rap about are a lot different than what I rap about. But I said, yes. I said, all right, dude, let's link up. And then we totally vibed, even though he does different things than me. And we were like, dude, we totally vibe. And then he came over and he taught me to make beats, helped show me the ropes on a few things. And in the course of like a month, I've gone from being like a little league baseball player to like, I would say I'm not major leagues by any means yet, but I'm like in the minor leagues doing work right now. And
that's right.
Crazy. God's blessed me, dude. And it's like, whoa, now I've really found my niche. So now I'm not rubbing the curb anymore. And now I'm like, well, I'm only going to rap here and there. Like, I just really want to make beats. And like, it was like I went from seeing black and white to seeing color because now I see the future really opened up for me recently. So it was a trip, dude. Make a long story short, that was a long story.
That's awesome. I love it, man. I love it, dude. That's super powerful. And especially, like it's those turning points where we can't even imagine, what it's going to be. You had this dream come alive for you, and then you got the job was changing, right? So the money, the tips were going out the window. So you're like, well, I'm not doing that anymore. And so you had the support of someone, and so you tried that. I think you said for like a year, right? You gave it a shot for like a year, and then you're like, all right, throwing in the towel. And then you got the money, you got the time, and you're like miserable, right? And so all these like kind of turning points, it's like not quite there yet, right? Still kind of rubbing against the curb, so to speak. And then like just recently, because you kept saying yes, because you did this 365 to Thrive, because you started producing your raps again and doing that, and then you had this keyboard, and the guy said yes, and the guy said, do you want to rap? Do you want to hang out? And you're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Not sure why, but hey, let's give it a shot. And just like taking those steps forward, man, I really acknowledge you for the path that you have walked to be able to come here today, and just the faith that you keep moving forward with, and knowing that like it's going to keep getting better. And even if you couldn't see necessarily the light at the end of the tunnel, you just kept taking steps forward. Even if you were full of doubt, even if you were full of resistance or fear or whatever it might be, you kept moving forward. And now look where you're at today, dude. That's really, really an awesome story. So thank you for sharing your journey, man. Powerful.
Yeah, no problem, dude. I mean, I'm glad to share it. it's a trip because I'm not the alpha male, you know, and I had to say yes to certain situations to get out of my comfort zone. Like I said, to go from, we were talking before, to go from good to great. I've been at spots in my life where I'm doing good, but I wanted to be great, you know? And I'm not that guy. I'm not the boaster, the guy who brags and does all this thing. In a big group, when we get a group of people that I don't know, I'm not the guy that's going person to person. Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to tell me. Da, da, da. I'm not that guy. In a small group, I am, but I'm not that guy. You know what I'm saying? So I hope it inspires people to realize that you don't got to be a certain type of person to take your dreams to that next level, you know? Because I'm not that guy that's just like always, you know, doing all these crazy things. Like I had to force myself to get out there and do it. Like I said, say yes to these situations, because you never know. Like another cool yes situation is the same buddy who owns a DJ business, just like a couple months ago was like, I'm overbooked. I need you to come work for me for a night. And I was like, man, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't know, you know, I don't know if this is me. I don't need them, and I don't want to say this. I don't need the money. This is weird. I'm like, find somebody else, but if you can't, then come back to me, and I'll see what's up, you know. And then I prayed to God. I was like, yo, if you want me to go out there and to these weddings where there's 300 people, like I said, I'm not this person who's like, so 300 people is a lot for me. And so I was like, then have all the other people say no, that you couldn't find anybody. So he calls me back and says, I can't find anybody else. Can you please do this? And I was like, yeah. So I went and we worked. These weddings are like 14-hour days by the time you do setup and all this stuff. And I worked it and I just had this great time. All these people there. And luckily it was a Christian wedding. So it was just this great vibe that was there. The dance floor was going off that night. I'm talking to all these people in the weddings. It's just such a special moment in these people's lives, and you're a big part of it. And it was great. And at the end of the night, I was like, you guys got your staff meeting this week. I'm like, I'm going to come. And he's like, all right, that's kind of weird. And I'm like, all right. So I came and I was like, I'm thinking about joining on the crew, man. And he's like, what? You got all this other going on. I'm like, but dude, I enjoyed that, you know? And I was like, but I only want to work once or twice a month. And so I've been working for like once a month here and there. Just by saying yes, something I didn't want to do opened up some other horizons. Now I'm like, I'm out amongst people, loosening up even more, because I spend a lot of time at home just in the studio doing things. I'm not amongst a lot of people, you know, and that got me out amongst a bunch of people. And so it's just cool. You just never know who you're going to meet when you just say yes in these situations. And by saying yes just to go work, you know, this little job on a weekend was cool, just to get out of your comfort zone, you know, and do these things. So yeah.
Dude, and you know what's intense and incredible and inspiring is like this say yes mentality that I think you're like really stepping into it within the last a year or two or something like that, like really embodying it. Like imagine the compound effect of this from 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Dude, it's funny because you say like, you know, you're not this person who's like going to all these people and, you know, being like what's the word, like really like loud, or, you know, like in people's faces and going around like that in a crowd. And I think, you know, I see you as someone who can just really bring this presence and this love and upliftment and empowerment to wherever you go. So whatever that looks like, just know that, you know, what has got you here may not get you quote unquote there. Because I know when I first started my journey, I was like super shy, super introverted. I didn't know how to talk to anyone. I was like afraid of talking to women. Like, you know, like it was like really challenging for me just to like muster up the courage to meet new people, to talk to someone new. Whenever I had to like call the doctors or dentists, my mom, like this is like 16, you know, 15, 16, 17. My mom tried to give me the phone. I'm like, I'm not talking to these people. No way in heck, you know?
I still do that.
Yeah.
I make the mom call the doctor. No.
That's right. I love it, man. So it's like, you know, if we want to overcome those things or be bigger than those circumstances, then, you know, that's really the journey. It's all about that journey. And especially for you, man, with such a noble, high, divine, so to speak, cause, and empowering and uplifting people. And who knows how you know, Christianity and your faith is going to be mixing with the music and with the art that you do and all that, right? Like you saw it with the DJing at the wedding, like that, like whoever could have seen that, and who knows how else it can come together in the coming years, you know? And I think that's super inspiring. And be prepared to transcend whatever is limiting you right now, or that you perceive is limiting you, along the path. Because like, to be able to impact as many people's lives as I have a feeling that you're going to be impacting, you're going to be transcending even more barriers about how you see yourself or how you know yourself, to be able to step into that, I don't know if it's spotlight, or into that role where you get to shine the light on other people, or you get to uplift other people, and through that, like, you have to grow and step into your own power. So I think it's really, really cool how it's all a journey. It's all like an evolution and a process, man.
Yeah, dude, it really is. Like I said, when I first started looking at music, especially when I came back, you see where you want to be, and you're like, well, how do I get there? How do you get on the radio or on Spotify or whatever? How do you get to these where people are really starting to hear your stuff? I just looked at it as like Mount Everest. Like I wasn't going to be able to climb it. And that's why I had quit so many other times. I really didn't see the path up the mountain. And I was just having a conversation with my wife recently. I was like, it's crazy. It's like, now that I'm conquering some of these things and like seeing goals met, when I'm seeing a new problem, the mountain doesn't seem as big. You know what I'm saying? Because I've already overcome other mountains. And so it's like, okay, I've already climbed this one. Okay, now I may not know how to get up it right now, but I'm going to find the way, because I've already known that things will fall in my lap that to help me get to that point. Whereas before, I just looked at the one mountain like, oh my God, I'm never going to get up this thing, but now the mountain gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
It's spiritual strength and faith.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, believe me, I prayed for it for a long time, but we got to put it into action. It's like that. It's like the thing where you pray to God for, like, if you're unemployed, God, I pray for a job, please give me a job. I really need to get a job. And then you go sit back on the couch and watch TV. Like, the job's not going to fall on your lap. No. You got to go out and apply for the jobs, or put in work, or say yes and go meet people. And then you get a job, and that's God opening those doors for you, but it's just not going to fall in your lap. And I think that's what I wanted a long time. I would pray for this to work, but I wanted it to fall in my lap. I just wanted somehow something to come into the studio and discover me, where I was like, no, dude, you got to get it out. Get it out there. And then God will open the doors. And once I did, God was opening those doors and guiding me where I wanted. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest assets that we have these days is our own brand and our own platform. And so you're recognizing, to be able to have your brand grow and your platform, your Instagram and stuff like that, like, it's going to take you having more conversations. It's going to take you, up leveling your engagement, your, what you're able to provide for other people. In a way, like Instagram, you can serve people by engaging with their content and having conversations and uplifting them and encouraging them. And that is, your ability to do that is going to grow through these times. And so, like, who knows how that evolution of encouragement and connection and community building and different stuff like that you go through along the journey. It's really cool, though, how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's what's cool about social media. When you give somebody a like or a comment, I'm always trying to go a little bit out of my way. Dude, if I like it, I just don't go, oh, I like that, and scroll past it. Right. And I know a lot of people do that, but as an artist, or even you and what you do, it really means a lot to us. It lets us know that we're doing something right, when all you do is just a simple click of the like, or just dropping a smile face emoji in your comments for somebody. It really goes a long way. A, for the algorithm of Instagram, but B, just to let the artist know, or person, whatever you're doing, that you're doing something right and that you appreciate it. And I love that's one of my biggest things. That's why I like, when we worked on the Phoenix thing with you, I love at night just doing that, because I'm usually at most peace. The caffeine's wore off. I'm just relaxed. I'm getting ready to go to sleep. And so then I just look at each post a little bit longer. And then I always find myself giving out so many comments and likes at night.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. What would you say? What would you say inspires you to stay connected with your audience and stay connected with them, have conversations with them? What's there for you when you're doing that? Why is that valuable for you?
Well, man, I mean, dude, music for me and a lot of my songs is to share my struggles and my pains and things like that. I mean, obviously I would like to make money off this thing here, but I'm trying to help people too. That's what I pray for, is just for moments like this to get on podcasts like this, or when people reach out and in like direct messages and things. I'm there to like be a friend. Like I, in my intro, I'm a friend and a stranger and whatnot. And I'm trying to just be there for people. I'm not just want you to buy my music and some merch and then call it good. I just want to actually connect with you,
Right.
and tell you about my struggles. You know, I have a good friend of mine who was telling me, he's like, dude, I love your page because you put your struggles out there a lot. And yeah, I'm like, dude, well, real presence, you know, being real, but that's what it is. Sometimes life isn't always perfect, you know, and that's what brings a lot of us down. We'll go to somebody else's page and we'll see them doing good, and we'll be like, oh, why am I not doing that good? And then we get sad. Well, if people are sharing their struggles, like, then you let people know that it's not always, you know, ice cream and cake. And one of my favorite artists, his name's Andy Mineo. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's like a Christian artist, but he's got gold albums and like 500,000 Instagram followers, selling out tours across the world. Awesome. And he recently came out with an album, and it was like a surprise album, but he came out with like this huge long Instagram post, and it was talking about his struggles, how he feels he doesn't deserve this, and how he feels he's a fluke, and that this is just all luck that that was his thoughts. And so he made an album about it. And I was thinking to myself, dude, you're leaps and bounds where I'm ahead of you. So many people love your music, and you're thinking this, you know, but it was powerful for him to say, look, I've made it, quote unquote, you know, made it, and I still have these thoughts, you know. And I loved it because it filled me up, and I was like, dude, that's what I'm going through now. But it's just cool to hear other people's struggles and share it. And this is just me doing it through music, but other people can do it through their own platform. You know, so I just wanted to be there for people, dude, and just, like I was saying with my kids, just vibrate out in the world that love, you know, and just put a few extra smiles on people's faces. I'm always that dude that's walking around the street and giving smiles. Or if I'm out on a run and I run past somebody, I always give them a smile, and I hope they don't think, who's this weirdo giving them smiles as he's running by, you know.
That's awesome, man. It's like, it's be the change that you want to see in the world, though. And especially for your kids, you know, like, you're being the role model. You're being the example for how you want them to be raised and be thinking and be seeing the world and be interacting with people. So, like, you're walking the talk. I think that's so powerful, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best, you know. Definitely have my flaws and failures, but I guess, you know, we all do. So
yeah, 100%. 100%. So I also wanted to dive into, like, good to great. What's the distinction between good and great, and how do we know which one we're doing or being?
Well, I think good is where, like, we're happy, we're doing well, but we maybe still have some dreams, you know? Like, for me, it was like I was doing well, but I always still had this music that kept popping up in my life, and people would mention it, and it was always there. And I think that would have been my great. Like, if I could make this as a living as a rapper, now a music producer, then that would be great. But I'm good, and I'm fearful to get to that greatness, because there's going to be some struggle. Like we talked on the phone the other day, we're like, man, if we knew this journey to get to where we're at now, we knew the pain that it was going to be to get here, we might not go down that road. Right. Thankfully, we don't know that pain's going to be there, and so we still go down that road. And so we can all be comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe all of us don't have these, like, where I wanted to be a rapper. My wife is completely different. She's just a good mom, and just always even keel. She's never overly excited and never really sad. And she isn't this person that has these goals of wanting to do things like myself or you, who are entrepreneurs and want these goals. And that's cool. And so she's good at that. Maybe that is her great. But for me, I was good. But I always I would still see other people doing that and go, oh man, I kind of wish what would have happened had I not gone down the drug road. You know, would have I been able to make it to where I wanted to be? Now, I think that was probably best at the time that I didn't make it, being that I had an addiction problem, and maybe really good amounts of money come in my life probably wouldn't have been a good thing for me. So now I feel I'm being blessed when I'm more mature and ready for it. So yeah, but I think all of us have a desire for a little more greatness in life, you know, but it's up to us to go get it if we want it. But it might not be easy, but it's definitely achievable. Yeah.
And what I see is, like, good is like riding on the wave of talent and, like, kind of just letting life happen. And then great is like making a stand for what you believe in and the quality of life that you're committed to, like that greatness, the greatest possible self, the vision, and unfolding that and living that on a daily basis. And You know, just like never giving up on that process, regardless of if you have to take a detour, regardless if you have to take a quick hiatus, you know, like you got to do something else, different direction, whatever, to manage the bills, manage your life, manage whatever, you know, like to be able to keep that vision alive. I think that's the difference between good and great. Good is just like, hey, just riding on the currents of life, kind of getting by and not that's what's the word, like not making yourself too noticed or too much of a target for people around you, or not rocking the boat too much, not speaking up too much or being self-expressed too much, because like then you might piss some people off or whatever it might be. And then great is like really just being that stand, that relentless stand, even if you get knocked down for 10 days or 100 days or 1,000 days in a row, as long as you get back up at the end of that and still have that fire within you.
Dude, I totally agree. I mean, just this last week, I had a crazy past week where I was doing great. Like everything was falling into place. I was killing it. And my dad, God bless him, he still thinks I'm 14 years old at times, wants me to come over and do all of his chores for him. And he was resodding his backyard. And believe me, my dad has more than enough money to hire a crew. And I need to come over for 3 days and resod my backyard. And I'm like, dude, I got my own things going on over every day, man. And like I said earlier, he doesn't necessarily believe in me as this, you know, rapper type guy. You know, he's really blue collar. And I was like, I'm giving you 3 hours each day. I'm like, that's where I'm stopped. I felt super bad about it. I'm like, I'm only giving you 3 hours, but I was whooped because I'm not used to doing that type of work. Right. And then I went and volunteered at the local BMX track and dug all night long for them. Wow. And I was cooked. At the end of the week, I was so cooked. And the Friday last week, I was just mentally gone, like no emotion. I didn't want to do anything. I was short with like my kids and my wife, and I'm normally not that way at all. I just sat on the couch and was like emotionless. And it took me like 4 days to get out of this funk. And I was like, dude, what is going on with you? I just kept thinking I needed a good night's sleep, recover. Right. Well, like 4 days finally went on, and I finally was like, dude, slap yourself out of this. And then like 2 days ago, thankfully, my wife's so amazing because she's just always there for support from me. She just finally helped snap me out of it, and then, you know, back at it. And then yesterday and today just had these most amazing days.
That's right.
Back in it, and just things are leaps and bounds where I was good last week, and then I'm out great. But I had this U-turn in between where it was like I was not rubbing against the curb. I had crashed into a telephone pole, you know? and I didn't know if I was getting out of it. But just like anything in life, dude, those moments pass. You know, they seem so horrible in the moment, but they pass. You know, I was telling you when we were trying to line this up that I went on vacation. Well, I took my family to Disneyland. Well, with kids, you get sick every now and then. But I got the plague, like literally plague for like 3 weeks. But I got it like 2 days before we left for Disneyland. And that's an arm and a leg trip, how much you have to spend to go to that place, you know? And I was so disappointed. I was just so sick the whole time I was there. Made the best of it. I was like, God, really? I'm like, what's the point of this? There's got to be a point that I'm sick on this amazing trip with my family. But I was still really focused on rapping at that time. I had dabbled with the beats. And when I came back, I was still so sick for 2 more weeks that I couldn't rap. I tried to rap. My voice was all messed up. And so I just kept making beats. And then at the end of this 3 week, like I said, plague, I was like, dude, I don't even really want to rap as much anymore. So I was like, there's the point. Of course, it took some things, you know, along the way, some bumps. I don't want to say failed vacation because we still enjoyed our time. But that it didn't bother me as much when I found more of a true purpose at the end of it, you know?
Wow. So it's like looking back at the events and redefining the story, you know, you really got to redefine that story and what it meant to you. That's super powerful, man. I think that's a huge aspect in saying yes more often. So I want to hear your perspective on redefining things so that we're able to say yes, so that we're willing to say yes. How can we redefine things? How can we see things from a different perspective so that we're more willing to say yes, to go from good to great?
I just got to think, if you want something and it's not happening, then you probably need to change up things. But if you just keep saying, no, you know, I mean, and I still do it. Sometimes people hit me up to do shows or whatnot, and I say no, but something great could have came out of that too, you know, by going and performing. But a lot of times it's kind of the good thing is like going from good to great when we just keep saying, I think I'm okay. You know, whatever somebody's purpose is or their mission is, I don't know. But if you just say, no, I think I'm okay, and not saying the yes, Now the yes might not, like I was, when I said the thing about the DJ thing to go work earlier, it didn't seem too appealing to me. It was basically going to be going working for free and spending this 14-hour day. And I normally go to bed at 11. We didn't get home until like 1 something in the morning, and I was cooked for the next day, you know. But by saying yes, good things happen, you know. And so you just never know, if you just get out of your comfort zone by saying yes, new cool opportunities pop up, you know. I could have easily just said, sorry, Chris, you're kind of a motivational podcast. I'm a rapper and a beat maker. What do I got to do? You know, I mean, I understand I love life, and I'm trying to make people's lives better is my goal. But at the same time, like you said, I'm a bit of a different guest than you normally have.
Mm-hmm.
I could have just said no, but by saying yes, I'm getting out of a comfort zone, getting on here, you know, and doing something super cool and bonding with you and getting your energy into my life, you know, and hopefully sharing my energy into other people's lives. One of the mixtapes I released years ago, when I first started doing like more Christian style, positive style raps, was called If Only One. Basically that was, if I only affect one person on this whole journey of grinding, of making music, of struggling, of getting hate every now and then, if I've affected one person's life positively, then my mission's accomplished, you know? And so it's kind of about this, you know, just saying yes to those so I can help find that one, and hopefully a lot more than one. But and now that I'm on here, by saying yes to you, this is going to go out, and hopefully somebody takes something from this, you know, because you never know what you're going to take from anything. And maybe being that I'm just a rapper, maybe you only take one thing from this, but that one thing can spark change in your life. I used to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu years ago, did it for a little while before my kids were born, and my coach was saying, I went all the way to Brazil, spent all this money, and I went and trained for 2 weeks, and I only learned one thing the whole time I was there. And I just spent all this money to go train with the best people in the world, and I only learned one thing. But he said that one thing made a huge difference in my game of a jiu-jitsu player, and it was worth it, just that one little thing. So hopefully by me saying yes to you, somebody can take at least, you know, one thing from this and spark them to get off that couch. Maybe do the 365 to Thrive thing, where I'm going to do some new things and just see what happens, you know? So.
Dude, that's right, 100%. And, you know, another thing is, like, we never know, like, with the seeds that we plant, how people will find or discover us, you know? Like, you never know who's going to come to this when the podcast comes out, when the blog post, you know, when people are searching for you know, like a Christian rapper or whatever it might be, you know, or a Christian music producer, and then you come up and they're like, oh my gosh, like I get to find out about Tommy through these seeds that you planted along the way. We never know what seeds are going to sprout at what time. The only thing we can do is keep planting the seeds and keep watering, keep fertilizing, and keep sending it love, keep praying, keep, you know, just moving forward every single day. And I think it's a fun game in that way. Life is kind of like a game to you never know what's going to come up, but you know, just keep investing, keep praying, keep moving forward, and then like the fruits of those labors will always come back to you, as long as you keep putting that good energy, that loving energy, the faithful, the kind, the respectful energy out into the world and into what you do. It'll always come back multiplied. Dude,
I totally agree. You just never know how you're going to get to where you go. One of my buddies, good friend of mine, crazy story, he's a motivational speaker too, was in prison, and then now is coached at the Olympics last year. He's crushing it on the motivational speaker scene. Anyways, good friend of mine, he posted this DM that a girl sent to him after one of his talks, and she was like, I got this dream. I really want to play in the NFL. After hearing your story, do you think that's possible for me? And he was like, well, I can tell you what, I have no idea if you're going to play in the NFL, but if you give it every single thing you got to try to get to the NFL, along that way, along that process, you will find what you're really meant to do. And that's what I felt about me with like music and how beats is like, I'm finding music, rapping was like the first thing that opened it up for me. And then the beats and other things kind of fell into place along with it, you know? So along this journey, you never know what's going to happen. As long as you're giving it your all and keeping that positive energy and planting those seeds, like you're saying, you'll find it eventually. You'll be able to harvest that fruit off the tree that you planted, you know? That's right, man. I want to dive back into the 365 to Thrive, because I have it on the show here that's your email. Did you create the email like as soon as you started that challenge, or were thinking about that challenge, or how did you create that? Yeah, I mean, I did for multiple reasons because I always have like one email and then that gets flooded with spam
Yeah.
eventually. You know, now you're on their email list. And so now you get like a million emails a day. And so, yeah, I did. But yeah, that was just a cool process for myself. Another one of my buddies and I were going to do something similar. We were just talking about today. We're both in really good spots, but like today, I don't, you know, who David Goggins is?
Yes. Yes.
So of course, David Goggins, everybody loves him. Dude's intense, few screws loose, but dude's it's after it, you know, and he makes things happen. I love his story because he took something from nothing and now he's David Goggins, you know?
Yep.
And we were talking about him yesterday. He's like, yeah, I found David Goggins and da 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 da. And we were just chatting about him. Well, then today I just jokingly texted my buddy and I was like, hey, you better been out at 3:00 in the morning with your shirt off running this morning. And he texted me back and he sent me a video. He was like, dude, I was. And I was like, dude, that's nuts. I'm like, you know, so then what we're talking about doing is challenging each other once a week. I challenge him and he challenged me to do something like that. So he might challenge me to do that and I'll go to do it tomorrow or whatever. And then I'll come up with a different challenge. So it might not always be physical. Maybe it's meditate for an hour or read a book or do something, go serve with the homeless or something. And so we're going to kind of do a little twist on the 365 to Thrive, not every day because we're both busy with a lot of other things, but once a week. We're kind of talking about doing it through Instagram as well to challenge our followers to join in along with us if they want. You know, here's the challenge for tomorrow. We're going to go out and do it. If you want, go out and do it too, and let us know how it goes, just to kind of inspire that way too. Because sometimes I get in my ruts. Like, we'll have, dude, I eat the exact same thing for breakfast every single day and lunch, and that's no joke. And so I get in ruts sometimes. I do the exact same routine. Boom, breakfast, music, pick the kids up. You know, yeah. And so sometimes I need those things to get me out of my ruts. And so I was kind of needing one of those recently to do it. And no better way than to have a buddy do it along with you to hold you accountable with these journeys. Because it's hard out there to do it by yourself when you just, you know, we've talked about it before a little bit, like community is everything, you know? Dude, I mean, a bodybuilder I follow online, we were just conversing a little bit and he owns this huge company and he was talking about that, how he's an introvert. He lifts weights with his headphones on. But you need to surround yourself with other people or it's tough. We're meant to vibrate with other people and just put our energy and get their energy onto us. And it's crazy how that works. Like I said earlier, I had money and time and that didn't bring me happiness. What brings me happiness is spending time with my family and friends. I try to go out on the weekend once, just at least have dinner with a buddy or something. And I always come back just fulfilled, you know, more full of life, just, you know, so yeah. That's kind of 365 to Thrive. So Chris, jump in too if you want to do the weekly challenge, but we'll have you out at 3:00 in the morning.
Dude, I was just thinking about that. I was like, tell me what the hashtag is, man. I'll blast it out.
Well, just the idea today, but yeah, we're gonna get it started here in like a week or two probably.
Cool. Yeah, dude, create a hashtag for it. Like, create a movement around it. That's like with social media, we have the ability to create freaking movements, man. And the power of social media is like hashtag and making things accessible with ease, right? Making common communities. Like, you want to talk about community, like you create communities through hashtags, through concepts, through, you know, Facebook groups, different stuff like that. But like that, the hashtag is so powerful as a way to build a brand, to unite a common cause and common people to be able to achieve extraordinary things. So I think that, dude, I'm so in. Just let me know what the details are and all that good stuff, and I'll definitely be putting it in the show notes as well when you let me know what that is and have people be able to find it.
Cool, man. That'd be exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Just keep switching things up. You know, you never know what else is gonna inspire.
Dude, changing things up, adapting is so important, man. So many people, I think, are, like you said, in that rut. So many people are so comfortable with what they do. It's like we have to engineer that into our life. A buddy of mine, he was on the show a couple weeks ago, Nick Silvis. He has this concept of comfort zones and stretch zones. So it's like, to be able to live in that comfort zone, that's okay. Like that happens. It's going to happen in life no matter what. The thing is, you are like engineer getting into that stretch zone. You engineer putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Like you said, 365 to Thrive. You know, those are stretch zones that you engineered into your life. And without doing that on purpose and creating a structure, creating a plan to be able to do that, a strategy to be able to do that, like life will get stale, it will get monotone, it will get like the same old. And I think that's really what causes people to lose presence and to lose, the appreciation and the gratitude for this present moment, is because they get into these kind of common things and just go do the 8 to 5 or whatever it is, 5 days a week for 40 years. And then after that, like, they're so patterned into doing that all the time. It's a trip.
Yeah, no, dude, we really got to get out of those comfort zones if we really want to. I hate to use the word thrive, but yeah, if we really want to just take it from good to great, we got to really push ourselves. So many people quit too early on. A lot of people every year, I'm going to lose weight this year. It's coming the new year. They lose a few pounds, they hit a snag or whatever, and they're like, it's not really working. And then they go back, but then they're still in that same spot. I heard a quote, and I'm going to probably murder it when I tell this, but the person was saying, the fears that you have right now and you're living in are scary to get out of that, to go do something new or to get out of that comfort zone. But what's even scarier is being 5 years down the road and being in the exact same spot you are in right now. Now that's even scarier than what's going to happen for you just to go get out of that rut right now. And I was like, dude, that is so true. Yeah. So I've been there, here I am at 37. Now I think this is God's plan for me to be having it now. Yes. But it's still like, I'm 37, I'm not, that rapper I told you that I said yes to go meet with, he's 22. Like, he's got the world at his hands right now. And I hope he realizes that, take advantage of it now. Don't wait till you're 37 because it becomes a lot more challenging. So, yeah.
Damn. That's powerful. Powerful, man. So, final words of wisdom, that or if you want to share the piece of advice or wisdom or guidance that you could give to your kids if they were listening right now. Whatever you want to send it off with, man.
Well, I just want everybody to know that we all got a gift, and we're different in different ways. Mine has always been like music, and I like doing BMX and things like that. I don't know what yours is, but we all got something. So don't compare yourself to somebody who is a rapper, a basketball player, football player, a podcaster, actor, whatever. Be you who you are. And that's what I love that about my son. He's a big time nerd. He loves Minecraft. He's not into sports at all. And I tell him all the time, dude, own it, dude. I'm like, be who you are. And I'm not ashamed of you at all. I'm really into sports and things and rapping and all this other stuff, but you be who you are. And that's what I want everybody to know. Be cool with who you are. Yeah. Don't think you got to try to fit in with other people because that seems to be the cool thing. Go down your own path, and you have it in you to just be whatever that is. It doesn't mean you need to get rich doing it. That's not the end game. The end game is just to be happy every day, just doing what you love to do. And it says in the Bible, the hand's different than the foot or the leg, but it can't work without the other leg, right. And that's true. We all need to play these parts, You being a podcaster, you need to do what you need to do to have people on like me, and then I need to do what I need to do to be able to be on a show like yours, and then you need to have people to work for you to do it, and we all work in unison, the community again. So I just want everybody to know, man, if you got any passion in you for something different, then pursue it and go for it, and live that. It may not pay the bills 100%, or maybe they just get you by, but I'll tell you what, you'll be a heck of a lot happier doing whatever you want in life that's your passion than to living somebody else's passion being their workhorse. So if you want to find me though, also I'm on Instagram, Real Presence Music, look me up. I'm not just about music on there. I always post funny little skits or whatever, or just sometimes give pieces of advice like this. Like I'm going to do, like I told you, that challenge with my friend. I'm going to put it on there. Or if you just want to chat, hit me up on the DMs or whatever. I'm just there for you. But yeah, man, I hope I've inspired somebody. Chris, you've inspired me. So I just feel blessed, man, to every day to be able to do different things like this, man, because life is truly good, even when sometimes it seems rough.
Absolutely, Tommy. You are a great human being, and you are an inspiration for anyone who is in the arts and in especially music and producing and stuff like that, because like you come with this such a servant mentality, such a kind mentality, such a uplifting everyone mentality, and I think that's something that the world of just being successful and making a name for ourselves, building a brand, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it is whatever, right, professional, anything, like you really are setting the example for how you want the world around you to look. And that's how we transform the world one day one action, one interview at a time, man. So thank you for embodying what you believe and being such a great human being. And go give your family even more love, man, and appreciate them and be present with them even more, because like every day is a gift, man. And we're not promised the next. Tomorrow's or yesterday's gone. So really just embody that and appreciate that, and like overwhelm them with love, brother.
Definitely will, man. Amen. I appreciate it. And you have a good rest of the evening. And yeah, we'll talk soon, dude. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. You freaking rocked it, man. Great having you on, Tommy.
Thanks. Talk to you, everybody.
See you soon, bud.